Hello, everybody. Welcome to this archaeological, biblical congress. In this meeting, we will talk about one of the most important and influential people in the biblical era, the Phoenicians. And first of all, I want to correct a widespread error. The people that we usually call Phoenicians didn't call themselves Phoenicians and did not see themselves as a different and separate ethnicity from the other inhabitants of the land of Canaan. The name Phoenicians was given to them by the ancient Greeks and Romans. The most accepted, but absolutely not proven reason why they were called so was they dealing with the trade of the famous reddish purple natural dye called onyx or Tyrian purple, and by extension, the fabrics painted with it. So, who and what were they? The Phoenicians lived in city-states in the Mediterranean shore, from Arwad in northern Syria to the north, to Dor in northern Israel to the south. It is important to highlight that in the Bronze Age, before the arrival of the Israelite tribes in Canaan, this was the geopolitical situation in the entire region. Throughout all of Canaan, there were independent cities that controlled the surrounding states. And in the background, the Egyptian Empire, which saw them as vassals. The Canaanite city-states never formed a united political entity, and neither did the Phoenician city-states, with the only exception being the short periods of time where Tyre and Sidon were united. The Phoenicians, as the Europeans called them, saw themselves as Canaanites and called themselves according to their respective city-states. The Tyrians called themselves sons of Tyre, the Sidonians sons of Sidon, etc. They spoke in Canaanite dialects written in the Canaanite alphabet, composed by the same 22 letters as the Hebrew one, and written from right to left. They worshipped the most prominent Canaanite gods and goddesses, Baal, Astarte, Ashtoreth, etc. But their biggest difference from the other inhabitants of Canaan, a difference that made them a peculiar group in the eyes of other peoples, was their skill in building boats and sailing the sea, thanks to their knowledge of star navigation. Contrary to the inhabitants of Inner Canaan, who lived from agriculture and prayed asking for rain to Baal, the Canaanite god of the wind and the rain, the Phoenicians lived from shipping and trade and prayed to the same god Baal for favorable winds for their vessels. Another important source of wealth for the Phoenicians was their domain over the cedar forest of the surrounding mountains, in which the cedar of Lebanon, Cedrus libani, grows. These huge trees rise 40 meters high, and they provide strong, straight, long beams for the construction of temples and palaces throughout the region, and were sought over the rulers from Mesopotamia until Egypt. The Phoenician city-states lay on the seashore in convenient places for ships to dock, and two of them, Arwad or Arvad and Tyre, were located on islands near the seashore, a fact recorded in the Bible. In 332, Alexander the Great laid siege to the city, surrounding it by sea, but the city had walls right up to the shore, making its conquest impossible. Faced with this impossibility, Alexander finally conquered the city by building a causeway that joined the island with the mainland, spilling earth and stones, turning the island into a peninsula. The Phoenicians sailed along the Mediterranean coast, thus competing with the Greeks. They even crossed the Strait of Gibraltar westward and explored the shores of the Atlantic Ocean. Finally, according to Herodotus, in the Persian period, in the 5th century BCE, they succeed surrounding Africa, the African continent, reaching the Persian Gulf with their vessels. The Phoenician city-states, their people, and their civilization are well attested in the Hebrew Bible. They were the northern neighbors of the Israelites, and their connection with the Israelites throughout the period was strong and influential. The three most prominent Phoenician city-states are recorded together in a beautiful piece of wordplay in Zechariah 9:2. And Hamat, too, borders in Hebrew Tikbal on it, Tyre and Sidon, so they have great wisdom. In this verse, the prophet expresses the proximity of the city of Hamat to three important Phoenician city-states, Tyre, Sidon, and Byblos. Explicitly naming Tyre and Sidon and insinuating Byblos, using the similarity of the Phoenician and also Hebrew name of the city, Geval or Gebal, and the root of the verb Gaval, meaning to border. Geval was the largest international trade center for papyruses imported from Egypt and sold in Europe. For this reason, its mispronounced name by the Greeks, Bibal, with the Greek suffix os, Biblos, became a denomination for the papyrus, book, and by extension, for the book per excellence, the Bible. There were two strongest points of contact between the Phoenicians and the Israelites. The first one occurred in the 10th century BCE, in the days of King David and Solomon. According to the Bible, David, after conquering Jerusalem, made an alliance with Hiram, the king of Tyre, 2 Samuel 5:9. And Hiram, king of Tyre, sent messengers to David with cedar wood, carpenters and stonemasons, and they built a house for David. The alliance established by King David was largely strengthened and extended by his son Solomon. According to 1 Kings chapter 5, Hiram of Tyre sent to Solomon a large amount of cedar wood and cypress wood from the mountains of Lebanon for building the Temple of Jerusalem, a new royal palace with a complex of buildings like the Lebanon Forest House. And in return for the materials and the professional work, Solomon sent to Hiram large amounts of agricultural products, wheat and fine-pressed oil. Of course, olive oil. In the works participate not only Tyrians, but also Gebalites. Chapter 5, verse 32. For the copper works, especially the huge 2 copper columns in the front of the Jerusalem temple, an expert man was sent from Tyre, Hiram. He was not to confuse him with the king named Hiram. He was the son of an Israelite woman and a Tyrian man. An interesting point in the story of this event is the description of the transportation of the wood by sea, an exclusive expertise of the Phoenicians. 1 Kings 5:23. And Hiram sent to Solomon, saying, I have heard the message which thou hast sent unto me. I will do all thy desire concerning timber of cedar, and concerning cypress wood. My servants shall bring them down from Lebanon unto the sea, and I will make them into raft to go by sea unto the place that thou shalt appoint me, and will cause them be broken up there, and thou shalt receive them, and thou shalt accomplish my desire. In giving food for my household, interesting, this system of transportation is described in reliefs from the Sargon Palace at Dur Sharuchim, modern Khorsabad, showing Phoenician boats with their characteristic hose head stern posts transporting cedar logs off the coast of Lebanon in this series of fantastic pictures taken in the British Museum in London. But the most important point in the alliance between the Israelites and the Phoenicians was the agreement that combined the strongest capabilities of each side. An alliance that enormously changed the geopolitics of all the region. From the Israelite side, David and Solomon managed to dominate the entire territory from the Mediterranean Sea to the Red Sea, thus enabling the passage of goods from the two coasts of the Red Sea, the African and the Arabian Peninsula, and from the Phoenician side, the ability to construct ships and sail the seas, and the position of a network of colonies along the shores of the Mediterranean. As a consequence of this alliance, goods, including gold, perfume plants, and precious stones, could transit from the Red Sea to the shores of Europe and North Africa, and vice versa. 1 Kings 9, 27, 29, 10, 11, and 22. Obviously, an ingenious deal that resulted in huge profits for both sides. But the deal was not prosperous, since it ended with the death of Solomon and the separation of the United Kingdom. The second strongest point of contact between the Phoenicians and the Israelites was in the 9th century BCE, when the dynasty of Omri reigned in the northern kingdom of Israel. By this time, a triangular alliance was formed: the Phoenician kingdom of Tyre in the north, the kingdom of Israel, and the kingdom of Judah. This alliance, in fact, revived the geopolitics of the Solomon period with all its benefits. This time, the alliance was confirmed by diplomatic marriages between the royal houses of the three countries. Omri, the king of Israel, married his son Achav, or Akav, to the daughter of the king of Tyre, the princess Jezebel. In turn, the daughter of Achav, or Akav, and Jezebel, the princess Athaliah, was given in marriage to the prince Jehoram, the son of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah. This alliance collapsed in the year 842 BCE with the Yehu revolt and the assassination of the last king of the house of Omri and the king of Judah in the same day. A notable result of the period of this triangular alliance was the profound influence of the Canaanite religion and its worship in Israel and Judah, brought by those princesses with their courts. In Samaria, the capital city of the northern kingdom, an official temple to the god Baal, the Phoenician god Baal, was established. It was called Baal Tzor, the Baal of Tyre. The main image that emerged from the Bible about the Phoenician cities is that of extreme wealth, of controlling trade routes in the entire region, with the city of Tyre being a kind of center of world trade. Their control over the trade in gold and wooden beams from the Lebanese cedars is strongly emphasized. Let's see some of the sources themselves. We want to read everything, just highlight a few things. Isaiah 23. A portent concerning Tyre wail, O ship of Tarshish. Tarshish is in modern Spain. For it is laid west, so that there is no house, no entering in, from the land of Kittim. Kittim is in modern Cyprus. It is revealed to them, Be still, ye inhabitants of the coast, thou whom the merchants of Sidon, that pass over the sea have replenished. And on great waters, the seed of the Shihor, the harvest of the Nile, was a revenue, and she was a mart of nations. Be thou ashamed, O Sidon, for the sea hath spoken, the stronghold of the sea, saying, I have not traveled, nor brought forth, neither have I nourished young men, nor brought up virgins. When the report cometh to Egypt, they shall be sorely pained at the report of Tyre. Pass ye over to Tarshish, wail, ye inhabitants of the coast. Is this your Judas city, whose antiquity is of ancient days, whose feet carried her afar of Tujon? Who had proposed this against Tyre, the best tower of crowns, whose merchants are princes, whose traffickers are the honorable of the earth? The Lord of hosts hath proposed it, to stain the pride of all glory, to bring into contempt all the honorable of the earth. Pass through thy land of the Nile, O daughter of Tarshish, there is not restraint anymore. Ezekiel 26. Thus saith the Lord to Tyre, then all the princes of the sea shall come down from their thrones, and they shall take up a lamentation over thee, and say to thee, how art thou destroyed, that was inhabited by seafaring men, the renowned city that was strong in the sea. Yea, the isles that are in the sea shall be dismayed at thy departure. Ezekiel 27. Ezekiel 27 is an outstanding text, unique, that reflects the international trade in the entire region in biblical times, with the city of Tyre being the world center of international trade. It also includes a unique preserved description of a Phoenician boat, meticulously describing the raw materials in each of these parts. Ezekiel 27. The word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, and thou, son of man, take up a lamentation over Tyre, and say unto Tyre, O thou that dwellest at the entry of the sea, that art the merchant of the peoples, unto many isles. Thus saith the Lord, thou, O Tyre, hast said, I am perfect in beauty. Thy borders are in the heart of the seas, thy builders have perfect thy beauty. They have made all thy planks of the boats, of fir trees from Senir. They have taken a cedar from Lebanon to make a mast for thee. Of the oaks of Bashan have they made thin oars. They have made the bench of ivory inflated in boxwood from the Isles of Kittim. Kittim is, of course, Cyprus. Of fine linen with broidered work from Egypt was thy sail, that it might be to thee from an ensign, blue and purple from the Isles of Elisha was thine awning. The inhabitants of Sidon and Arwad were the rowers. Thy wise men, O Tyre, were in thee, they were thy pilots. The old men of Gebal was the wise men thereof were in thee thy calkers. All the ships of the sea, with the mariners, were in thee to deal in thy merchandise. Persia and Lud and Put were in thine army. The men of war, they angered the shield and helmet in thee. They set forth thy comelines. The men of war with thine army were upon thy walls round about, and valorous men were in thy towers. They angered thy shield upon thy walls round about. They have a perfect thy beauty. And now, put attention, very important. Verse 17, Judah and the land of Israel, they were thy traffickers. They trade for thy merchandise wheat for minit, is a special type of wheat, and panag, and honey, and oil, of course, olive oil, and balm. The ships of Tarshish were thy caravans for thy merchandise, and thou was replenished, and made very glorious in the heart of the seas. Thy rovers have brought thee into great waters. The east wind had broken thee in the heart of the seas, and in their wailing they shall take up a lamentation for thee, and lament of thee, saying, Who is there? Like Tyre, like her that is brought to silence in the midst of the sea. When the wares went forth out for the seas, you filled many peoples, you didst enrich the kings of the earth with the multitude of the rich and their merchandise. Zechariah 9. And Hamath also with border thereon, Tyre and Sidon, because they are very wise, and Tyre did build herself a stronghold, and heaped up silver and dust, and fine gold as the mire of the streets. Now we'll talk about the western colonies of the Phoenicians. Beginning in the 10th century BCE, the Phoenicians began to establish colonies along all the shores of the Mediterranean Sea, especially on the large islands thereof and on the shores of North Africa. A few colonies were even established beyond the Straits of Gibraltar. Each of these colonies was connected to the city-states in the motherland, from which its founders came. The inhabitants of these colonies, which eventually became cities, saw themselves as extensions of the Canaanite culture in all aspects: language, culture, religion, etc. This network of colonies constitutes a remarkable extension of Phoenicia all over the Mediterranean. The Romans called them Punic, a term derived from the Greek Phoenician, and so in the European languages, Phoenicians became a nickname for the residents of the mother cities, and Punic a nickname for the residents in the colonies in the West. The most important and famous among them was, of course, Carthage. Its real name was Kart Hadasht, compare Hebrew Kiryah Hadashah, which means new city, referring to the city of its founders. Tyre, in the same way the Europeans named cities in America after their hometowns: New York, New Orleans, Nueva Madrid, etc. The people of Carthage remained attached to their mother city throughout the ages, even as they themselves became a power, a superpower. Once a year, every year, a ship loaded with gold and offerings for the main temple of Baal Tzor, the Baal of Tyre, sailed from Carthage to Tyre. Over time, Carthage became a superpower that competed with Rome in the Punic Wars, the three Punic Wars, which eventually led to the capture and destruction of Carthage by the Romans in year 146 BCE. During these wars, the Carthaginian army reached Rome and almost conquered it. If that had happened, the whole course of history, of our history, would have been different. The Canaanite culture, for example, would have become dominant instead of Western Roman culture. And the dominant script in the world would have been the 22-letter Semitic script, written from right to left, like the Hebrew script to this day. Interesting. With the destruction of Carthage and the expansion of the Roman Empire throughout the region, the Phoenician culture also came to an end, both in the motherland and in the colonies. A process of assimilation took place in language, religion, and culture until they disappeared. Thank you very much.